I definitely want to see a maxed out series this time.
Definitely, especially considering Innocence on the Claude, Yums is on a chip. This feels like, you know, a couple of patches ago.
Yeah.
Just a couple of patches ago, these heroes were the meta, were the prio picks. But now we've seen the meta kind of turn on its head, and we'll see if CFU can actually make it work with a Zosk pick.
Right. It feels like we're watching a game that's being played a few months ago, simply because we're seeing the Zask in the hands of Z. And we were talking about it earlier, right?
Yep.
Like, what would Z go for in this kind of composition where there's a chip, surprisingly, that can just put out the shortcuts here and there. And I was suggesting, yeah, the Aurora, you the Vixana, the Firemas and all that, but then what safer option if not the Dominator Descent, which could just keep you in place and at the same time provide a huge amount of zoning as well. So I'm like looking out for the pressure here from CFU Gaming, because I feel like you just have to be super aggressive in this kind of composition, you know? Like SRG, they're definitely a dive comp. They completed it with the Claude. So you would expect unlimited dives from them. And you have multiple ways to punish that if it goes wrong. And there's a history. There's been a history of failed overextensions for SRG.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, for CFU Gaming, you can't spell Zosk without Z, firstly, right? So maybe that might be like a comfort pick of Z. But yeah, at least in the M6 World Championship in the Swiss stage, we've only really seen Z on playmakers. We've seen him on picks that can really change the tide of a team fight, not through damage, but through plays, you know? When he's on the Valentino, we see him perform so well. When we see him on the Vexana or even Aurora, same thing, you know? It's all about playing for the team, being a playmaker, getting those big CC abilities, not really the damage dealer. Now, he's going to have to kind of swap that playstyle over with the Zosk. You're more of a come-in last situation hero. Maybe in the first few fights, I would say. Like later on, you can actually afford to go Dominator's Descent first and then deal damage and try to soak in as much. But with the changes to Zosk, in the early game, you're not as good anymore, right? Before the patch, you were great every stage. That's why people just first picked it every single time. Zosk now, you have to play a bit safer in the early game when it comes to the lane prio too. Maybe not the best, especially up against composition that I don't know. It's kind of the same for Yums on the chip. The chip has kind of had like very similar changes done to him, right? The patch has made him way weaker in the early game, but in the mid to late, you still have the same macro advantage that you used to have on the chip. It just, you get online much later. The crash course stun, a lot of things have been nerfed about the chip, and I'm glad it got nerfed because now it actually takes more skill to play. You actually need to just be like super smart. Back then, you can get away by being a super dumb chip too. You know, you can just go in,
just ram in
boom,
like they're
5v3, boom, 5v4, and the whole team gets a massive advantage whenever you jump in with a crash course.
Yeah, there's a difference between how chip used to be played before and now, and even in terms of Zask. But like, if I were to look at the overall compositions that are shown to us here, especially by SRG and CFU Gaming, I'm feeling mad respect, especially for Sing. The panel touched on this idea earlier that Sing has been performing really well in the past few games, taking 3 out of 5 MVPs for majority of CFU's games so far, and like going in with this type of composition, even with just Cram alone, right? We saw it yesterday. Cram on the Hilda, which we felt was, what is this? Why does it kind of feel like he's just throwing his body out there and accepting his fate and really willing to die multiple times just to ensure that he zones out the enemies well? But now it's not just him which you'll be expecting that zoning from, right? You can expect it equally the same from Yums, especially Innocent. It's the Claude that for a lot of times hasn't been used for the M6, at least, just yet. So this could go really aggressive, you know. I'm seeing a game that can actually really go back and forth depending on who gets to ride on the momentum better between these two teams.
Yeah, it's all about momentum, really, when we're talking about SRG and CFU. Honestly, is it momentum? I don't know. It's more of like a mid-game spike for both these teams, you know? Like CFU, early game, they always somehow lose out, even against Vamos, against most of the teams they met in the Swiss stage. Early game's not the best for them, especially up against teams who just dominate the early game. They will lose out in the early game straight up, but then they make plays, and they just find openings randomly in the fights to turn it around. Opie on the Franco, Opie on the Cho. I think, unfortunately, the draft was one of the biggest issues for them against Team Spirit. In game number 3, everybody in the panel kind of knew that yeah, CFU couldn't get the win against that Belleray, especially with the Joy. So as long as CFU fix their drafts and they play towards their mid-game power spike, it's going to be good, is what I think. But SRG do the same thing. They're not the best at early game domination, but in the mid-game, this team does so well in team fights, and they just take control over every single lane.
And now you're talking about mid-game, macro-wise, the global presence here. I'm watching out for how well they're able to play against each other, considering that they have both the Moskov and the chip in their hands. But don't forget to complete all tasks, all active tasks during the event from the 18th of November to the 29th of December. This is the M6 pass, all right? So you have to check it out. So you get all those battle emotes, avatar borders, and new special skins. There's a Baksha skin, there's a Claude skin, and if you reach the highest level, you get the figurine you see on the panel desk if you haven't checked it just yet. But okay.
You can see it on your screen too. Look, Innocence on the skin, man.
Actually, yeah.
We got the, what's it called? Challenger Spark Claude M6 exclusive skin. That's a, oh, actually, no, this is the Cosmic Blaze one. This is the Prime skin.
This is the Prime skin. I feel like only a number of people have had their hands on this skin, so we're seeing it right now being played by Innocent. So it's been a while since we've seen like the laning between the Claude and the Moskov. So there's been some bit of aggression. I mean, he's on the tenacity too.
Yep.
So he can afford to be slightly aggressive in terms of the laning, but against the lineup with a Jawhead in the early, you'd have to like be as careful as you can too. You know, even earlier OP, it seemed like he wanted to go for the early rotation. But then, 3 members of SRG are in the mid lane.
Okay, baiting out the sprint with the ejector there. Cram will not have sprint. He should be able to regen back up, though, for turtle number 1. Pryo in the lane, in the mid lane. Oh, bottom lane, it's actually CFU. Oh, up top of 1v1, Sing, Spear of Misery. And now it continues the fight around the turtle. Stormy, glorious pathway stolen away. Let's see retreat. Detective with a soul sever, able to take it down. There's a set. Cram gonna be caught. First blood for OP. Flickers out. Skies with electrifying beats down. Some of the force will not be able to stop him down. Skies needs to jump, gets the jump, and gets away. It is a turtle for a kill and a kill. So 2 for 1 for CFU.
It felt like an objective that both teams were just trying to take at the same time without minding each other. Did you see that kind of exchange between these two teams? But wait, Sing.
Shortcut.
It's the shortcut.
Wow, great discipline moves from Yums. Detective, though, able to go for some damage. OP walking up, Detective getting the snipe down, and now, oh my goodness, Detective and baited them all into the skirmish. And CFU take it away. Bottom lane, Hylos is free farming too.
That's the early game damage you would expect, right? From the Jawhead, from the Zask, and all the members of SRG just
oh my God, Wadu
up together in the top lane. But Wadu, right? Free farming Hylos, as you mentioned, just focusing on getting the energy shield. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen him participate in the early turtle take, right? But like right now, at CFU Gaming, it feels like a passive kind of approach to this game, that they're just waiting for SRG and what they're doing. But at the same time, it kind of works for them, especially if they find the quick rotations to respond. It's not the bad kind of reactive that we're seeing from CFU Gaming just yet.
For CFU, they've just been reacting to the plays, and by the way, yeah, the crash, that's a new thing, right? Usually you go shortcut and then you just go instant crash course, and the duration of the crash course usually is enough to take you down, but the combo was a bit different there. Wadu in the bottom lane gets ganked, he's still fine. There's no real full kill threat on the horse just yet, especially considering, like you said, he got that energy shield, almost all of it as a horse. That's a pretty fat horse.
So I would expect that he would really use this advantage as much as possible, but he denies, Cram denies the recall from Wadu, and Yums are just waiting for him. So now they know that Wadu will have to recall first in the base, and they're zoning OP really well. But he won't be recalling, Mirko. He won't be recalling. He wants to join.
Crash course coming out with a shortcut. They're all going to be rotating. Yums able to flicker out to safety. Cram, Power Wilderness getting him down. Now it's a fight. Skies electrifying beats. Just going at him, but he's going to get caught by the spears. The Dominators are sent still on him with Stormy there. Spear of Misery. Stormy splashes some damage on Detective. See, wants to go in. Doesn't have the Dominators to send. It's a fight in favor of SRG, but Sing wants to go for the turret. Innocent up top, though, free farming on the Claude.
They're choosing the turret over the turtle, and Stormy might not be able to defend this anymore, but at the very least, Innocent, he was able to take a turret up top, but SRG, Yums and Cram are already here, but they do not get to touch Sing because of the Spear of Misery timed really well. So we are seeing some mirrored plays here and there, and ultimately, I'm liking how SRG is just able to briefly join the fights and then disengage whenever they want to. We've seen it from Innocent once. He went in the shortcut, just used the Blazing Duet, then immediately returned to his lane. So they weren't really put at that much of a disadvantage, but that's an ejector play!
Okay, shortcut doesn't get placed down. Actually, they're able to burst him down before it. Retribution from Detective. SRG decide not to go for it. They will have to concede this over. Sing, though, in the bottom lane, blinking out to safety. That's SOD! Sing able to escape! Good stun over to Skies. That's a Revitalize to help him. Dominator's a set now, missing and whiffing. Skies running away. Opie occupying the bush. Meanwhile, Innocent. Opie! Ejector, smart missiles, and that is it. That will be a turret trade in the bottom lane for Innocent's turret up top.
What an aggressive play that we're constantly seeing from Opie here. Like, he's got the damage as well, but then Innocent, he's not stopping in taking down all of these turrets in the top lane. So definitely SRG right now, they're going after the macro. They're denying CFU of that complete control that they want to assert in this game. And I must say, like, see OP, the way they just constantly protect Sing each and every time, you have to respect that. SRG, they've tried multiple times to just get their hands on Zing, but those well-timed stuns coming in from Z, those aggressive plays coming in from OP. So they're just really focusing on letting Sing play his game, and I'm pretty sure that that's what they're after, right? The mid-game control, they're playing around the Moskov. So SRG, as much as possible, they just want to take the map control from themselves as much as they can.
Now we're going to take a look at the items. It's almost a 1,000 gold lead between the gold laners. Innocent definitely sticking to the lane a bit more here, as Sing has been participating in more team fights, and you can see what that has got on him. It's the DHS and the Crojan side. He will be online very soon as he gets that golden staff. But I wonder how good the Claude is, because so far, at least in M6, we haven't really seen a Claude fully carry a game just yet, right?
Yeah.
I think we've only seen like what, total of 2 Claude games, so Innocent might just be the curse breaker for the Claude with the M6 skin.
Yeah, and it's probably a bit more of SRG wanting to focus on the team fight approach as well, because I mean, we've been seeing him just using the Blazing Duets barely to stay long enough in the fight to take all those kills. It's more of dishing out the damage early, and there are multiple approaches to really playing the Claw depending on how you want to use it. It's either you go in first, damage the players, or you go in last and try to take the kills for yourself. But what we're seeing right now is kind of different, because the map all around the turtle pit, it's the fight going on!
Wadu caught in the midst of it all, still able to revitalize out. Meanwhile, Spear and Misery over to Cram. Not enough damage to take him down. Innocent gets the kill with a Blazing Duet. Detective gets a stun down, and a few slashes in. Detective looking for the kill. The ejector forward. Oh, and the snipe down from Detective. Skies looking for the beats. Electrifying beats not ready. Oh, the slashes from Detective Sing. Getting the kill in the bottom lane. Stormy left to fend off the rest of CFU all by himself. And look at the timing. The turtle has disappeared, and a Lord has spawned in. CFU. Ridiculous timing to get the first Lord.
That was a lot of time bought by Wadu for CFU Gaming. And you, at that moment, you saw just how SRG, they seemed like they just wanted to go for the pickoff. So it was that kind of approach wherein they just let the other members dish out the damage first, probably a part of it also coming in from Innocent, but then there was an attempt, there was the Blazing Duet used to take Wadu down, but after that, what's next? What's next for SRG, right? Using up all of your resources on one of the tankiest members here of CFU, and now they're able to secure the Lord for themselves. The control established by SRG earlier, now it's all in the hands of CFU.
This is dangerous. Very dangerous for SRG. I don't know how good their clear is, because I think when it's about... Oh, OP! Another ejector over to Cram. That's everybody on him. Spear of Misery, too. They took a while to take him down. They used a couple of resources. I don't think SRG want to go for this fight. There's absolutely no way they take it. Oh, SOD! Yums brought back. Shortcut coming down. No one should take that. C gets the kill on Yums. Oh, man. CFU taking full control of the game.
Merc, I know we said SRG wanted to dive, right?
Yeah, but not like that.
But not like that. I mean, it's OP forcing them to dive. He's throwing the members of SRG constantly towards his teammates, and they have enough damage. They're well equipped enough, and that's another unstoppable force. But I think Stormy's safe, copying the Dominator's descent, and they just really forced their way to that tier 2 mid lane turret. That's just how focused CFU Gaming is right now in terms of taking the necessary objectives.
And look at that. They'll also try to deny as many minions as possible, letting the cannon minion in the bottom lane take the tier 2 away from Selangor Red Giants. 10 minutes in, we have a 3.4k gold lead for the Sharks of Cambodia. The Khmer Sharks, CFU Gaming. So far, so good. They're also scaling up to be monsters. We have to talk about this. We were talking about this after the draft as well.
Yeah.
Z on the Zask. We did not expect him to be a beast in the early game, but we definitely expected him to be a beast in the mid game.
Yeah.
The fact that he was a beast in the early game means he's going to be a double beast in the mid to late, man. 205 Zask.
The pressure is going to be felt definitely here for SRG. And I must say, going back to the entire idea of how CFU Gaming just seemingly forces the opponents to start a fight, seemingly throws all of the members of SRG, the frontliners, towards his teammates, there's literally almost no way to get out if CFU actually decides to throw out all those slows. The slows that you can get from Z, the glorious pathway as well from Wadu, and we haven't seen them commit all of those resources just yet even. It's like mostly just a quick stun from Z after the ejector to buy enough time for Singh to throw all of his spears and just shred the members of SRG. And now they're actually pretty much equal in terms of goal. As you mentioned, Singh right now completes his Trinity build. And I feel like CFU Gaming, they're definitely ready to engage in a fight whenever there is a chance.
Yums will try to go to the back line. Singh will be able to escape. Stormy types in as well. Detective finishing it off there. The Lord going to be taken by CFU. Innocent goes over to Blazing Duet. Yums still caught in the midst of it all, and it's a fight. Detective walking it in again. Z able to flicker out the safety. Innocent still going on the chase. Meanwhile, Detective just barely escaping here. Up top, it's still a chase for Z. That's a snipe down on the Stormy. That's going to be the kill for Detective. Up top, it's still Z getting chased down. Detective running away. Not against Cram and Skies. Z versus Innocent. Innocent takes him down and shuts him out. Detective getting caught by the axe of Cram. And it's a double. A comeback fight for SRG.
A wipeout for CFU Gaming. And SRG get to freely defend this Lord. But wait, SOD. Oh no, Singh goes in!
I'm not sure about that, Singh! In a 1v2, does he blink in forward? No, it's a bit too risky. Innocent! With a Blazing Duet. Oh no! Up he comes in! And Singh almost got the shot. Innocent gets away.
I mentioned expecting like the back and forth, but this is some insane back and forth we're seeing from both CFU and SRG. None of them seemingly want to stop with all the team fights. We definitely have to take a deep breath after all that has happened. SRG, they're able to defend the Lord. And I must commend the way that Wad was really able to hold things out for all of his teammates. We've seen it earlier, the way they were just able to extend those fights. Detective constantly being able to reset, them being able to regroup, and then find some clutch kills up against SRG. But now that CFU Gaming are back in the game, they're not letting go of that control once more. They're being on the more aggressive side once again. And there's the glorious pathway casted. They're just so focused on taking these objectives, but Yums from behind! Yums from behind!
Cram gonna be isolated, the shortcut comes down. Sky's able to delete Singh from the map! Now it's a stun from Detective. Opie trying to run away with the ejector as well. Sky's getting away, the Winter Crown coming down. Opie falling, Detective and Z against the world. Z able to get them down, Innocent jumping forward, Detective! Wind of Nature 1v1! Innocent will fall! Z had the Nightmare spawn before he died, and he gets a triple!
The passive from Z, even if he was taken down, it felt like a death that he was willing to accept because he was able to help Detective in that particular situation. It seemed like Detective, does he actually want to go for this? He has one card minion alongside him, Mirko.
The Crystal gonna be targeted down. 2 seconds for Yums. Singh shoots it out. CFU Gaming gets game number 1. The Sharks have swam through the depths of the trenches to get that win.
And they swam well. They knew when they should risk the plays. They knew what to prioritize in this game.